Greetings, Bat Family. Welcome back to Holy BatCast, brought to you by Real Fans for Real Movies. Make sure you visit our website, holybatcast.com, or find us on social media, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or YouTube. Just search for Holy BatCast, you will find us. You love the show, you want to help support us, you can do that on Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/holybatcast. And as always, a big thank you to our patrons. You guys are amazing. You're superstars. You rock. And thank you so much. We know you don't have to do it, and it means the world to us that you do help support the show. So big ol' thank you to you guys. We're part of the Real Fans Podcast Network. You can check out all those shows at rf4rm.com. And as always, I'm Andy DiGenova. You can follow me on Twitter or on Instagram. It's just my name, Andy DiGenova. Now, this is a momentous episode because we are finally wrapping up our reviews of Batman Beyond. So not only are we going to review the final episode of Batman Beyond, we're going to do a bonus one. We are going to do the Justice League Unlimited episode, Epilogue, because it's more like the series finale of Batman Beyond than it is a Justice League Unlimited episode. But we'll talk about all that. Joining me for all that are my two Bat brothers and a long-lost Bat brother. He's not really lost, but it's been a long time since he's been on the show. He's returning to us. So first of all, the ones you already know, Mr. Jamie Drewley. Hey, Jamie.
What's happening, everybody?
Thanks for taking a break from Stranger Things to talk to us.
I mean, you're killing me here. My daughter's 2 episodes ahead of me, and I'm trying to get caught up before she starts spoiling stuff, but I'm running a risk here, so.
But if she spoils things, you can ground her.
I could.
I think that is within your parental rights.
Yeah, I guess. I'll just beat her.
Indiana. Also joining us, Mr. Brendan Lowe. It's been a while. Hey, Brendan.
Howdy, guys. Yeah, it's been a little while.
Yeah, somebody's been trying to avoid Batman Beyond, so he keeps being too busy to record with us.
Not at all. If I was trying to avoid it, I wouldn't be doing this episode. It's just been scheduling.
I know. I feel you. Well, good to have you back. We missed you.
Yeah, it's great. Thank you. Miss you guys too.
Despite all the shit talking, we missed you.
I appreciate it.
Of course. Also joining us, a very special guest. You might know him from Please Rewind or the Anything Goes podcast. He has been on this show in the past. But joining us from the Real Fans Network, it's Mr. Tim Rooney. Hey, Tim, welcome back.
Thank you for having me back. And to like Brendan's point, like if you're not shit-talking your friends, are you really friends or not?
Right?
Yeah. As long as we know that that shit-talking comes with love.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, like if it's like actual like venom, then that's a problem. But no, if it's out of love and you're just busting chops, that's totally acceptable.
Yeah. I mean,
it's the line from that Robert De Niro a few years ago. Remember, I never remember what the movie was called, but the ones where like the childhood friends grow up and they're old guys and they go on like a road trip together, and De Niro keeps spouting off about how nobody makes fun of us but us. Like they rag on each other constantly. But then, when somebody does, De Niro starts kicking the shit out of them.
Oh, wow.
I feel like that's most male circle of friends.
Yeah. Nobody makes fun of my friends but me.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Or nobody beats up my little brother but me.
Exactly.
Same difference. Nobody abuses my little koala but me.
I just can't wait for Jamie and Milks to recreate that movie with De Niro and everything as they go to Vegas one day.
Man, it's going to be more like the bucket list by the time he and I get together again.
Oh, boy.
Anyway, thank you guys for joining. We are going to talk some Batman Beyond. Before that, though, we got to talk about Manscaped. Got to give a big old thank you to Manscaped.com for sponsoring the show, supporting us, and sending us lots of fun stuff. Been testing the whole new line of Manscaped products right now. They want you to know about their new Boxers 2.0. I just got mine in the mail, and I'll tell y'all, they're comfy. They're soft. They're like a little hug on my bottom. They're great. I got 3 pair. 3 pair, which is good because I literally had to throw some undies away last week, so it was great. Timing couldn't have been better. But not only do they have their Boxer Briefs 2.0, they've got all of the products that are great. Their trimmers, their lotion, the body wash, the shampoo, the deodorant, the lip balm. etc., etc. They've got it all. So check out manscaped.com. Go peruse their list. They have lots of great stuff because even if they're running a special, you get 20% off by using Batscaped. So you support our show and you buy something for yourself, use the promo code Batscaped for that extra 20% off. And Brendan, I know you just got a package of goodies.
Yes, my package arrived 3 days ago.
Yeah. Do you know what's crazy?
So
is mine came a day after yours, which is like, you'd think it'd be quicker to get to Florida than to get to Australia, but maybe they have an office down there or something.
I'm not sure. It looked like it shipped internationally.
Huh.
So, yeah, because I had a FedEx van pull up out the front. I'm like, I haven't ordered anything. And I saw a big-ass box getting carried towards my door. And I'm like, oh, actually, I reckon I know what this is. And yeah, I've only had it a couple of days. I've used currently, I've got on me the underarm deodorant, the good old ball deodorant that we've talked about before. I used the body wash in the shower this morning, and I tested out the lip balm the other day, and they were all fantastic.
Good.
I'm not usually a roll-on or stick deodorant guy. I'm an aerosol guy. But yeah, that stick deodorant, it's really good.
It is. I've been using it daily. I think I told Catherine likes it. Jamie, have you gotten your goodies yet?
I have gotten them.
Oh, good.
I got a bunch of great new stuff, and my son got some new underwear because they didn't send my size.
Oh, well, pay it forward.
Yeah.
Glad that Nico can feel nice and comfy.
He's getting to the age he's got to start learning about this stuff. You're never too young, especially when you're almost 14, to learn about a little bit of upkeep, if you will. So
yeah,
that's good for me.
Yeah, exactly.
But again, I've given out personal endorsements: the underarm deodorant, the ball deodorant, and the body wash and the body spray. Primo, love it. Use it every day.
Yep, same. Tim,
I did get the body spray go, and it was great.
Oh, I have not used the body spray yet. I need to do that. I was gonna say, Tim, have you taken the plunge with Manscaped?
I haven't yet, but I really should because, like you gentlemen, I also believe in personal grooming is important, especially down there.
Yeah.
It's just and being a ginger, nobody wants to see that down there, so you just gotta keep everything tidy. So that's why I'm like, all right, I eventually have to pull the trigger and use the Manscaped promo code for it.
Got to trim that ginger bush, my friend. It's like a leprechaun with an afro down there. You need to take care of that.
It's like a burning forest from a helicopter view. It's like, no, we got to get rid of it. We have to put an end to this.
Listen, Long Island doesn't refer to him as fireballs for nothing. Okay?
I love playing your board game, Fireball Island.
Oh, you'd be surprised how many people love Fireball here. It is disgusting. Like, it is like one to go to liquors, and I'm just like, really? Just admit that you're an alcoholic and you love cinnamon. All right, it's okay. Anyway.
It's for people that want to drink but don't like drinking. That's what
that's pretty much me. So yeah.
Yeah.
I've had it in like a cider, and it's really good. It tastes like a cinnamon apple. It's like cinnamon apple Cheerios if it could get you drunk.
Now I kind of want to see that.
I heard that in the Dave Chappelle impersonating Samuel L. Jackson voice for some reason.
Okay.
It'll get you drunk.
All right. Well, there you go. Anyway, guys, go check out manscaped.com, especially if you're in the market for new boxer briefs. Their new boxer briefs 2.0 are excellent. They're wonderful. And I don't think you'll be disappointed. You got to get this stuff anyway. You got to buy underwear. You got to buy body wash. You got to trim up downstairs. Keep it nice and tidy, especially now that summer is upon us. So do all that. Buy yourself something. But if you do, don't forget to use Batscaped. Batscaped gives you that 20% off. And as I've said before, if there's a discount already on their website, you still get 20% off with Batscaped. So you can't beat it. So please do that if you want to support the show. It's another way to do so. And again, it's buying something for you. I don't think you'll be disappointed with the products. I know we haven't been. Manscaped. Manscaped.com. All right, ready to talk a little Batman Beyond, y'all?
Hell yeah.
Okay, here we go.
Notice the one guy who's excited about that.
It's been a long road, but we've come to it. Come to the end of the road. I should put in a little Boys to Men. And so we come to the end of the road. I mean, Jamie and I get it. I don't know if you guys are too young for that or not.
No, I get it.
Okay, good, good. I don't know if Boys to Men made their way down under.
They did.
All right. No.
Actually,
They're just getting them.
They're brand new.
Can I tell you a funny story? This is
Can
not
I stop
related
you?
to Batman or anything. Well, you can.
Go. Please continue.
So this was a few years ago at a retail outlet I was working at, because obviously if you needed to use the facilities, you had to use the ones in the middle of the, well, I guess you call it a mall, call it a shopping center here. So I'm at the urinal, and they were the individual urinals, like, you know, your little thing in front of each person.
Mm-hmm.
And I was standing in the middle urinal, and there were two large men, like I'm talking stature, height wise, because I didn't.
Yeah,
I didn't
you
take,
are. Okay. Apparently, they need to
Either
make
side.
those dividers a little taller in Australia.
Either side of me, like we were almost shoulder to shoulder. These guys were massive, and over the shopping center PA was Boys to Men's "I'll Make Love to You," and in my head it was very funny, but at the time I'm just like, Brendan, don't laugh, because like it's just awkward. They don't know what you're thinking. So I was just like, eyes straight ahead with the biggest like smirk on my face, but inside I was literally pissing myself laughing, because I thought it was hilarious that I'm stuck in between these two massive men, and yeah, I'll Make Love to You is blaring over the shopping center PA.
You should have just looked over and like did the eyebrows like Millhouse and just see what happens.
All I could think when he was telling that story,
shopping
Rooney,
center, anything could have happened.
All I could think when he was telling that story was, this place has a sign over the urinal that says, "Don't eat the large white men." Roadhouse reference for y'all.
Oh, okay. I was like, I don't get that reference, but great. I should have known it was Roadhouse, because anytime I don't get a reference, it's usually Roadhouse.
I mean, if it's a conversation involving Connell or me or Milks or Rooney, it usually comes back to that, the way Batman does with us. So.
Yeah, fair enough. All right. Well, guess what? Batman Beyond. We got 2 more episodes. We have Unmasked, which is the final episode, and then we're going to do Epilogue. So without further ado, it's time to wrap up our journey through Batman Beyond. All right, here we are, the final episode of the series. Technically the series finale, but there's not a lot of finality to it. It is Unmasked. It is Season 3, Episode 13. This one aired on December 18th of 2001, just in time for Christmas. But this is interesting. The previous episode, Countdown, aired in April of 2001. And then this one was like a one-off and didn't air till the following December.
That's quite the gap.
Yeah, it had to have been like one of those things where like the show ended and they still had one more episode in the can, and that whatever, 7 months later they're like, I guess release that final episode in the middle of the night or something. So anyway, this one was written by Hilary J. Bader and directed by Kyung Won Lim. This is a story that Terry tells Max because, of course, the craziness with Terry and Dana and always the excuses just continues on and on and on. And spoilers and epilogue, it's still going 15 years later. It never ends. And so Max is like, just tell her. This would make it so much easier. You need to tell more people about your secret and it'll make things easier. And he's like, I can't. You don't understand how dangerous it can be. And he tells the story about when he first started being Batman. He saved this little boy, Miguel Diaz, and Miguel was really obsessed with this little action figure. I forget his name.
Soldier Sam? Or
Soldier,
Sam
yeah,
Soldier?
yeah.
Steve or something?
I was going to say Scuba Steve, but that's from Big Daddy. So Soldier Sam, close enough. He saved Miguel, but Miguel was afraid of him because he looks like a bat. And so he takes off his mask to make Miguel feel better, and he saves him. At the same time, Cobra is doing their dirty deeds, and they realize, because this little boy is on the news talking about, oh, Batman saved me, and he took off his mask, and he just looked like a normal guy. Cobra's like, oh, this kid has seen him, and so now we can get to Batman if we can figure out what this kid has seen. So Bruce warns.
Conveniently, they've got the box from Batman Forever.
They do.
Where
they
can
do.
see people's dreams.
They have the magic box that allows you to see inside someone's memories. And so Bruce is like, this was a bad mistake because now you've made that kid a target. So Batman has been following the kid, trying to keep him safe. And of course, Cobra comes in, goes after the kid. Batman saves him. The cops pick him up, and turns out the cops were also with Cobra. So Cobra gets the kid. They're trying to figure out who Batman is. They've got the box on his head. I didn't even make that connection, but you're right. It's the box. And the kid is remembering Batman's face, like, we got it. But Batman comes in and he fights off Cobra. They were going to throw this little kid into a vat of cobras themselves. That's way harsh. I feel like that was uncalled for, this poor little kid. But they were going to kill him. And so Batman comes in, he stops them, he saves Miguel yet again. Fortunately, what Miguel remembered was the face of the little action figure, which I kind of saw that coming. I've never seen this episode, but yeah, I saw that coming. Makes sense. I get it.
It was foreshadowed pretty heavily.
Yeah. Can't trust kids' memories. Turns out I can't trust my memory. Happens all the time where I realize, I remember that completely wrong. Anyway, so his identity is safe, but he realizes this very important lesson of anyone who knows your secret becomes a target. They're now in danger, and so that's why it's so important. So he learns a lesson. Max understands, and that is Unmasked. Or should it be Unmaxed? Yeah. Anyway.
We'll stay with Unmasked.
Okay, that's fine too. Whatever. Anyway, Tim, you're our guest. I'm going to let you start. What were your thoughts on this one?
I really enjoyed this one for what it is. Even though Cobra, is it the most impressive enemy that Terry's gone up against? No. Are they just as bad as maybe the Putty Patrol? Probably. But the fact that they put a civilian in danger often in this is like, okay, so there's serious drama there, but you don't expect them to throw him into a pit of snakes. Like, you don't expect that to happen. I don't think the show's going to go that dark, but it's nice to have those stakes there. I, for one, did not imagine like it was going to be the Soldier Sam's face on Terry's body. Like that one, I'm like, oh yeah, that's clever. But like the fact that like that Miguel knowingly did that on purpose. He didn't. It wasn't like his memory like was jarred up or something like that, and that's why he remembered that face. Like that little look at the end that Miguel gives him, that he realizes, oh, no, I know who Batman is. I'm just not saying. I thought that was a nice little cute ending there. But like as a series finale or season finale, you kind of wanted to have a momentous occasion. But the fact that this episode was delayed so long leads me to believe they didn't think this was going to be the end. That's why it's a one-off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's a great point. I forgot to bring that up, is I did like the little coda at the end where Max is like, oh, how do you know he doesn't remember you? And he goes, oh, well, that was him. And then, yeah, the little look that Miguel gives is very sweet of like, no, he does know. I thought that was a really nice moment. So anyway, sorry, continue.
No, yeah. And what was it? Like, I know, especially on HBO Max, that I think the first two seasons, when they were doing an HD remaster for the show, they were able to find the film negative to do a scan from so it's properly HD. But season 3, I think they couldn't, so they had to go off the old tapes to make HD versions of it. So that's why this episode, and especially the last episodes of the series, look a little rough compared to the rest. So that's a little disappointing.
I didn't even notice, honestly. But interesting.
I mean, it's kind of a good thing and a bad thing that I'm watching on my new 4K monitors. That everything like, oh, okay. I'm starting to notice like detail that's no longer that's. I did not notice there before. It's a downside of watching in on an Ultra HD monitor, but I really enjoyed this. It all because it plays with tropes of comic books. Like, I can't show my secret ending because it'll put everybody in danger, which is tried and true of all comic book stories. And it's cool to see how Terry dealt with it.
I see. This is why I don't watch it in 4K. I actually I record it from HBO Max onto VHS. And then I watch it on a tube TV while I eat my cereal, so I get the full 2001 experience.
with expired milk. Like,
Yeah,
you have to use the proper stuff.
Of course. Anyway, Brendan, what about you?
You know what? I actually liked this one. I thought it was pretty good. I like the idea.
Hallelujah.
I like the idea of Batman having to unmask himself to, not make himself scary to a child who he's trying to save. Because he is meant to look scary, and a little kid would be freaked out even if he's trying to save him. So I thought that was really cool. But we kind of touched on, there were some convenient plot devices there, like I said, with the Edward Nygma box, and didn't really add much more than what Tim did. Like I did, like you, Andy, I did see the foreshadowing of it was going to be the action figure, because there was too much weight put on the kid's toy to begin with. So he knew it was going to play some sort of part in the resolution.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought it was a really cool premise, and I appreciated it. And I do wonder if I don't think they knew that this was going to be their last season, because it seems like they've introduced Cobra to be this thing, and obviously nothing comes of it because there were no more episodes. So that's a bit interesting. But no, like, for a Batman Beyond episode, I liked it. You can tick that box for me with this one.
All right. No, I agree. I don't think they realized this was their last season, because you're right. Like, there's no finality to this. It does just feel like another episode. But again, that gap between the two episodes means that they probably got unexpectedly put on hiatus in the spring, and then they had just this one episode left, and that's why maybe season 3 is only 13 episodes, is they got shut down kind of unexpectedly. But yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Jamie, what'd you think?
Is this a concept that has been explored in the Batman realm before, or have I just seen this episode prior to today and not realized it until today? Because I feel like the whole thing of
I cannot
Batman
think of another.
I can't either, so I guess at some point years ago I must have seen this episode for some reason or another. I don't know why, but it seemed really familiar to me. Like, not beat by beat, but like the concept seemed familiar enough. But anyway, not important. To address the thing about the delay, I wonder if, because a guy is thrown into the pit of snakes and presumed killed, the head of this particular cell of Cobra throws himself into the pit of snakes and is presumably killed by suicide.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's why this episode didn't come like way earlier, and they just didn't get to air it because, standards and practices was like, yo, pump the brakes here, guys. This is getting a little dark for a children's show.
Mm. No,
So
that's valid.
shelved.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
I can't think of another instance in this series where death is that much of a factor, where it's not like an assumed situation.
Right, where it's a little more overt and not... Yeah, because they usually sort of, dance around it a bit. This is pretty overt.
Yeah, there's not a lot left of the imagination with this, other than, the graphics of the snakes actually chomping on people. But anyway, I thought the episode was pretty good. I like everybody else mentioned, I like the concept of Batman being something that is intended to, strike fear in his opponents and criminals and whatnot. So hell yes, a child's going to be scared of Batman. So the fact that they took that notion and played with it a little bit and made an episode around it, I think was a really clever and solid idea.
It reminded me of New Frontier.
Yeah.
How Batman says, he's meant to be scary, but not to children or something.
Yes. That, what's funny is I remembered that moment, but I could not remember where it was from, where he changes his look because of that. And for some reason in my brain, it was Brave and the Bold, but yeah, you're right. It's New Frontier. Good call.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. The Cobra thing, it doesn't excite me or thrill me or any of that stuff, but I thought they did a pretty good job overall with the writing and the concept and the story, and the closure with the kid, having that smile on his face of, yeah, I know who you are, but I'm smart enough to, keep it to myself and play coy about it. That was a really nice, solid moment. So yeah. I appreciated this episode. Not going to make my Hall of Fame list or anything, but I thought it was good enough.
Yeah, and that was another moment that thanks for bringing up is when that guy is like, "Hey, I've done my work. I'll be remembered," and he just jumps into the pit of cobras. I'm like, "All right, okay, boss move, way to go." I really liked this. I thought this was really good. I'll agree with you guys. Like Cobra, like, is it my favorite villain? Like, not really. It's fine. But as far as the story itself goes, and really exploring, like, here's the cautionary tale of why secret identities are important, and then doing it through Batman Beyond, I thought was a really great approach for an episode, and I thought that they told the story in a very cool and unique way. I know what you're saying, Brendan, about the convenience of the box device pulling memories. I think they just did that for, I don't know, just for clarity, I guess, for kid viewers, of being like, just making it a little more, I don't know, easy to understand, I guess, than if it was someone. Yeah. So
in the future, with that technology available that they have in this show, I mean, I buy that as much as I would them sitting down with like a sketch artist and making the kid describe it or something.
Right, exactly.
That's
and that would be
so.
That would be the more realistic view, you know, is like, oh, you're looking through whatever mugshots or pictures or doing a sketch artist, but like none of that is particularly fun, and so they just went for like a shortcut of like, no, we got a device who can pull images out of your brain. That's fine.
And I don't feel like they broke any rules in doing that, so no. I'm perfectly fine with that.
Yeah, no, I've no issue with it. I thought it was just kind of funny, and then making as soon as I was like, hey, it's the Edward Nygma box, like it just was funny.
Oh, totally. And it did cross my mind as soon as like they were doing it with the Cobra member of like, okay, put this on, we're gonna pull what you saw. I was like, okay, well, I guess that's a shortcut in order to really raise the stakes of someone seeing Batman's face. And I think that's all it was. It was just a way to write it, to make it a little cleaner without it being, all
and
those
they've done
things.
it before. In Batman the Animated Series, Hugo Strange has the exact same device.
Oh, man, yeah.
Nice pull.
Yeah.
I love that episode too.
So, anyway, but that aside, I thought it was a really good episode. I really liked the story it told for Terry, the lesson he had to learn. I think the relationship with the little kid was very cute. My only thing is I feel like you guys kind of sort of inadvertently referenced this, but like we just met Cobra, didn't we?
Yeah.
The first time we saw them was
2 episodes ago. Or
yeah. Something? So the fact that he was like, "Oh, this is when I first started," and I ran into Cobra, I was like, "How is it we've never seen Cobra until 2 episodes ago?" So there's that little piece of like breaking the continuity that bugs me a little bit, where I'm like, hey, like, couldn't you have used someone that like was around in season 1? Bring back Blight since it's the series finale, something like that. But that aside, I thought it was good. I really liked it. I think that I don't know if you would call it a twist, but the resolution of the kid really projecting his hero onto Batman makes a lot of sense, especially for a kid brain. And I thought that was a really great way to get out of the problem that was at hand. And again, it goes back to the whole question that for every superhero story of like, oh, come on, just tell people. It's not that big a deal. And here's another reason why it actually is. So, no, I thought it was really good. I really liked it.
Seems like we're all pretty close to the same page here.
Yeah.
But somehow Brendan will give it a D, Tim and I will land in the middle, and Andy will give it an A.
I'll just give it 1 grade higher than whatever you give it.
Exactly.
It's the privilege of going last.
I mean, I can go first. I'll give it an A-. How about that? I'll just start right there, and you guys can decide what you want to do with that.
Well, I'll just go next because I was going to give it a B+. So, I mean, that's just perfectly fitting, right?
Well, you always have to go one under me, Jamie. What the hell?
You
always have to do
downer.
this.
I'm a one downer. That's how I work.
I think it's better than being a one up.
Okay, Jamie, we know this.
I thought it was always me that was under you, Andy.
Well,
You're down under everybody.
Hey. All right, we got A- and a B+. Brendan?
You know what? It's the last episode, so F it. I'm giving it an A.
What?
No, I genuinely liked the episode. I thought it was really good.
It's the Batman Forever connection.
Cold meds have kicked in.
No, it's not. I just wish the rest of this.
Just because I'm here doesn't mean you have to be polite, Brendan. It's fine.
No, I'm being serious. I really liked it. I thought it was cool.
If every episode had the box in it, A's all
Does
around.
anyone else feel like a fried egg?
You know what? I'm just going to leave that one alone.
You're just a sucker for a good box.
I am.
Tim, bring us on.
I have to echo Brendan. It's got to be a solid A.
Wow. Well, all right. If Cobra had been around since the beginning of the series, I'd be like, A. I'm docking him to an A- because Cobra was not around.
Well, you know what they say. Apparently.
What's that?
Cobra, la 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 la.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that from Jamie. He wouldn't lie to me. All right. So the somewhat non-momentous series finale aired December of 2001. I mean, at least it's a story that like has a little dramatic oomph for an ending, but it doesn't certainly tie up any loose ends or anything. But I feel like they must have thought that too. They must have been like, you know what, like we ended Batman Beyond, but like we really want to wrap it up a little better. And so they took the opportunity to do that 4 years later in Justice League Unlimited with the episode Epilogue. And as we've been talking about Batman Beyond, I do feel like we've gotten quite a few messages over the years of like, hey, you guys should do Epilogue at the end, because it really is a Batman Beyond finale more than it is a Justice League Unlimited episode. And we agreed. And especially because we are wrapping up the series, it felt like a fitting thing to do is to close it out with the true closing out of Batman Beyond. So we watched Epilogue. This was Justice League Unlimited Season 2, Episode 13?
Really?
I think that's right.
Yeah,
I believe it was the season finale of season 2.
Yeah.
Really? Because with the DVD box set that I've got, and it's because that's the only way I could watch it, and it's the American release that I've got, it's the last episode of season 1.
Interesting.
Really? Well,
Yeah.
I watched it on HBO Max, and HBO Max, of course, automatically takes you to the next episode. And when I watched it today, it automatically took me to season 3, episode 1. So I assume this here, or at least in the way HBO Max has it ordered, this was the season 2 finale.
Hold on just 1 second. I'm going to double check.
Well, like I know HBO Max, like they do air order, they don't do production order, which a lot of the home releases do. So that's why if you watch like the Blu-rays or DVDs of Batman the Animated Series, it's like it's on Leather Wings and then Christmas with the Joker. But you watch an HBO Max, it's the Cat and Claw two-parter that starts off the series. So it's all jumbled when I try and find episodes on HBO Max. Because I'm like, this is not how I know in my head.
For Batman the Animated Series, it's a little frustrating because it's different than what I'm used to. But anyway, here it does say season 2, episode 13. So yeah, final episode of season 2.
So with the physical release, they must have jammed season 1 and 2 together and just made it season 1.
I bet you they did.
Because it is quite a hefty box set, and then the season, well, I say in inverted commas, the season 2 box set, it's only 2 discs, whereas the season 1 box set is 4 discs.
I think that's it.
I feel like the DVD set I have, this was 2 separate sets, like volume 1 and 2. So I wonder if that's just how yours was similar to ours in that respect.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, the one I've got it as the American release. I don't have the Australian release for it.
Oh, well, you probably have the same exact thing.
I think I remember that actually, because I had those DVD sets too. I think they did combine the first 2 seasons into 26 episodes and just making it season 1, even though it was season 1 and 2. I think you're correct.
There you go.
Because it's the 26th episode of Justice League Unlimited, but the 13th of season 2.
Well, you really want to give yourself a headache on HBO Max, go start looking at Super Friends. Season 1's like 46 episodes. By the time you get to like season 8 or 9, it's like 5 episodes each.
It is. It's so confusing. Anyway, no matter where you're watching it, it is the 26th episode of Justice League Unlimited, period. But on HBO Max, which is where most of us are watching it, go to season 2, episode 13, Epilogue. So the story was by Bruce Timm and Dwayne McDuffie, but Dwayne McDuffie wrote the script, and this was directed by Dan Reba. Like I said, it aired just shy of 4 years after the finale of Batman Beyond. It aired on July 23rd of 2005. Now, interesting, apparently this episode was originally going to be the series finale for Justice League and the DC Animated Universe in all. They wanted to end it on a Batman-heavy episode and just be the finale of the entire animated universe, but by making it Batman-heavy, it also closes the loop because the universe started with Batman the Animated Series. It is weird that it's a Justice League Unlimited episode because it's very much a Batman Beyond story. We've got Terry McGinnis. He has broken into the home of Amanda Waller. We've got older Amanda Waller. We've got older Terry McGinnis. He's no longer the kid we've seen from Batman Beyond. He's a grown man at this point. And he's very upset because, as always, Bruce has been keeping secrets from him. And he realizes there is more of a connection between he and Bruce than even he realized. But he's afraid Bruce would not give him the whole truth. And so that's why he has sought out Amanda Waller. And so we get some flashbacks of moments in Terry's career, or things that sort of close the gap between the ending of Batman Beyond and where we are now. So we get a conversation between he and Bruce is looking real rough in these moments. Like, we thought he was old and decrepit in Batman Beyond. Oh man, he looks like a corpse the way he's drawn here. Is pretty bad. But yeah, basically him, he's being very difficult and not telling Terry what he wants to know, and Terry's pushing him and how I can't trust him, and etc. We get a flashback of Terry in his final mission with the future Justice League. So we get a little throwback to that Justice League where you have Warhawk, you've got Aquagirl, and you've got the Green Lantern, who is the young Asian bald man. And I love that they're taking on a group of supervillains that include a lot of the Batman Beyond villains. I thought that was really cool. So there's like the Parasite, which is not part of Batman Beyond, but then there was Ink was in there, the Stalker was in there, and oh my God, what's the vibration
Screech
guy?
or something like that?
Is it Shriek?
Shriek.
Yeah. So I thought that was cool too, especially like, again, as sort of a closing chapter on Batman Beyond, we get a little callback to some of the more iconic villains from his run.
I said Screech. Now all I can think is Dustin Diamond attacking Batman.
I mean,
in a bar with a knife.
Oh no.
That's a little too real, Tim. Hang on. Hit the brakes.
Let's not speak ill of the dead. So you get that. You get a moment where he's apparently, he and Dana have been playing this game for 15 years. She even says it. We've been dating 15 years. This is still going on.
She is a patient woman.
She is. Yeah. And so he's like, sorry, it's just never going to work. It's to protect you. And so he breaks up with her. So we get, again, we're kind of touching important moments that were left hanging, like really picking up the dangling threads from Batman Beyond of his relationship with Bruce, his relationship with Dana, his relationship with the Justice League. And he has this conversation with Amanda
Max
Waller.
Gets shafted.
I know. Yeah, that's a good point. And so Amanda Waller's like, okay, you deserve the truth. I'll tell you the truth. Bruce did not mess with your DNA. Bruce did not put his DNA onto yours. I did. And so she tells this story about this mission with the Justice League. And this is the part that really feels like a Justice League Unlimited episode where they're on this mission. They're fighting the Royal Flush Gang. I love when she goes, the second, the third gang of the Royal Flush Gang, I can't even keep them straight anymore. I thought that was funny because there have been so many versions over the years. I thought that was cool. And they take them down, and Ace is the last one they have to take down. And she's like, listen, she is going to have an aneurysm, and when she does, she's going to wipe out Miles. And so we have to kill her before she does this. And Batman's like, I'll take care of it. So he goes in and he sits with Ace and he has a conversation with her, and she changes everything back, and he sits with her until the end. And then he comes out with her in his arms, and she's like, I that's the Bruce Wayne that I got to know, is someone who was so important and so believed in his fellow man, and his heart was so strong. And I realized the world needed a Batman. And because the world would always need a Batman, that was why, I found your parents, and your dad thought he was getting a flu shot, and it was part of Bruce's DNA. And then that's only part of it.
Shots, am I right?
What?
I said COVID shots, am I right?
I know, right?
I mean, I watched that, and all I could think to myself was, boy, anti-vaxxers are going to have a field day with this one, aren't they?
Oh, no, you might put Batman's DNA in me? Uh-oh, I'll go back for my booster right now. So, they're like, but that's only part of it. The other part is tragedy. And so she sends the Phantasm to kill Terry's parents, which is ice cold. But I appreciate the callback to the Phantasm. That's really cool to have that cameo. And, you know, yeah, she even...
And to the Grey Ghost.
Yeah, and the Grey Ghost as well, because they're coming from the Grey Ghost film. And Andrea decides she can't do it because as much as Batman, you know, is committed to his mission, he would never kill in cold blood, and so she can't either. And so Amanda Waller's like, you're right, we that's too far. But then fate took over and killed Terry's father for them, and it all worked out, I guess. So that's weird, right?
The father got killed, all worked out.
Yeah, it's all worked out, you know. As luck would have it, his father died. Good luck. Anyway, so she says, you know what, you and Bruce are very much the same, but you're not the same person. You know, you don't have his intellect, but you have a heart. You don't have to do exactly what he does. You can do what works for you. And so he sort of makes peace with this past and this with Amanda Waller. And so he goes back and he makes amends with Bruce, and then he makes amends with Dana. And it seems like they're going to finally make a go of it. And that is Epilogue. There's a lot. There's a lot in this. Is it only a half an hour? It feels like there's a lot of material in only a half an hour.
I mean, that was going to be my first comment about it is you look up master class in efficient storytelling on Google, and this is a link to this video for this episode.
Yeah, there's they check a lot of boxes, but it's very efficient storytelling. So yeah, Jamie, why don't you keep going? Tell me what you thought.
Well, I mean, they reference so much. I mean, it's 21 minutes of actual material, not counting the credits, and it's breakneck pace. It covers so many bases, but even though it's quick and it doesn't have a lot of breathing room or anything like that, it's so well done. You know, the references everywhere, like even the reference to Return of the Joker, Batman Beyond Return of the Joker.
Yeah, talking about the DNA with Tim Drake. Yeah.
Right. I mean, there's just stuff like that sprinkled throughout. There's some emotional hits with, Terry dealing with what he really is, and especially the stuff with Batman and Ace, and Batman and Terry coming to a resolution of their relationship. I found the Amanda Waller stuff being very compelling in that she recognizes all the bad that she's done, but she's found religion, if you will, for some measure of salvation coming to the end. I always appreciate a little nod to that, being a religious person myself. I recognize and admire the boldness to make that choice with that character, especially because I mean she's the Wicked Witch of the West in the DC universe, right? She's the one that will cut her own kid's throat to get a mission done, right? But no, here's this borderline sweet old lady saying, I know there's stuff that I'm going to have to answer for, but hopefully the Almighty can see that I was doing good over and above everything else, even if my methods weren't the best, or, that's oversimplifying the heck out of it. But you see what I'm saying there. Even the stuff with Terry and Dana, I mean, 15 years is a long gap for a woman to be patient with a man in that scenario. But the fact that they cared enough to go back and put some closure on that and kind of give Terry a happy ending in that moment. I mean, we're going to assume Dana says yes, right? I mean, if she's been that patient for that long, she's not going to say, I'm going to have to think about it, or I don't trust that you're going to be committed to the relationship. You just have to assume in that moment that, he opens up the ring box and we assume he's going to have the happily ever after with her. And even closing, I mean, I'd be remiss not to mention again how much I love Mask of the Phantasm and Phantasm as a character. So seeing Andrea in here was a really nice touch for me. I guess you could make the argument that part is maybe shoehorned in, and a couple other things too, maybe. But that it works for me. As a fan of this stuff overall, seeing that kind of a callback, bringing a beloved character like that back into the loop and continuity is nice for me. And then the closing moment of Terry flying into the sky to go meet with Clark because Clark wants to talk to him about a case that he's working on, and he wants to get some opinions about some details on this case. And he flies away, and they're playing that music from Mask of the Phantasm that I love. And that, the updated electric guitar version, but still, that's what they're doing. I would have almost loved this to have been its own animated movie like Return of the Joker or some of these other DC animateds that we got, because I feel like there's so much more they could have fleshed out. But given the fact they were working in that 20-ish minute time frame and did the stuff that they did in this episode and did it effectively is nothing short of amazing, in my opinion.
Yeah. It's a great point. And yeah, that final shot where he takes off and you've got the cops and the blimp, we're like, what was that? That's such a great moment and a great way to end the episode and the story.
Well, isn't that exactly what happens in On Leather Wings?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which is technically the first episode.
Yep.
So it does sort of close that gap.
Yep, it does. Brendan, what about you?
I don't know how popular I'm going to be here. Look, I feel like the episode should be called Retcon as opposed to Epilogue. I appreciate what they were trying to do, but I like how I believe that the show was originally intended. Like, I like that Terry had no link to Bruce and that they just sort of found each other through, through what happened to Terry's parents and the whole thing. Like, I don't really like the retconning of him being effectively Bruce's son. Yeah, I know that might not make me popular, but then again, I guess this whole review of Batman Beyond isn't maybe that popular anyway. The stuff with Ace too, like, it always gets thrown out as like it's the best Batman moment ever and everything. And again, like, I appreciate what they're doing, and it is a good Batman moment, but no, to me, I don't even know if it would crack my top 10 favorite Batman moments. Like, it's a sweet moment, but it's not something that I think about often or dwell on. But like, it's always thrown out there as like, this is the best Batman moment. It's just not for me. Yeah, I don't really have too much more to add. Like, I like the fan service in there, like with Phantasm and the Grey Ghost, and like I just said, the callback to the first episode of Batman the Animated Series. But it's okay.
Brandon, I love you,
Yes.
but you're a crazy person. I mean, this week I've had to endure not only you not liking Top Gun, but this. Come on, man.
So,
Hey, apparently the craziest thing I've done this week is say that the Jurassic World's my favorite of the franchise. I didn't say it's the best. I said it's my favorite, and I'm getting shot for that. But if I recall correctly, on the last episode, you said it's the best. So,
well, you'll get Jamie on your side for that one.
but I copped some flack for that. There's a difference between best and favorite.
Well,
I think it's both, but hey, that's me. I'm a crazy person. I didn't say I wasn't a crazy person. I just said you're a crazy person. That's all I was trying to say.
Well, this just got interesting. Now, the reason that Tim has joined us is because on our last episode, we were talking about like, oh yeah, we're finishing up Batman Beyond. Maybe we should just do both as we're doing now. And we released it. And like a day or two later, Tim messages me. He's like, hey, if you guys do that, I'd love to join. He goes, I have really strong feelings about Epilogue. And I went, oh, okay, great, cool. And so we made it happen. And I told you guys, I'm like, oh yeah, Tim says he loves Epilogue, so he's going to join us. And Tim goes, wait, I didn't say I loved it. I have strong feelings about it. And I was like, oh, my bad. I misunderstood. So with that prelude, Tim, I'm very curious as to hear your thoughts.
I think Epilogue has some of the best and worst decisions when it comes to DCAU Batman.
Okay. Buckle up, y'all.
And I'll start bad and I'll end on a good note. Let me give you the bad news first and end on the good news. To follow up what Brendan was saying, I don't like the retcon of Terry being Bruce's biological son. Because as a person, I am a firm believer of free will, and there's a reason why I enjoy movies like the first two Terminator movies or the first Matrix movie, because the protagonists of those movies made an active choice to be the heroes that they are, and then sequels, whether it be Terminator 3 or Matrix Reloaded, says like, no, that decision, like, there is no such thing as free will. Everything is determined, and you're a puppet on the strings. Now, when I say it like that in relation to this episode, I mean that even though Waller's plan didn't go through for where Phantasm did not murder Terry's parents, she stacked the deck in that in such a way that like, it's almost like an inevitability was going to happen that he would end up becoming Batman, which I think takes away from his character. And the reason why I think this Batman has resonated with me and so many people that it continues on through comic books years later is because, unlike Azrael, that this Batman follows the principles of Batman, and this replacement Batman did not succumb to like, no, it's going to be a murderous person. And unlike Dick Grayson's Batman, didn't come with the burden of Batman's stature. And like so many people, whether they've watched the show or read the comics, they can see themselves in Batman. Much like how Robin was initially supposed to be like, oh, you cannot be Batman, but you could be his sidekick. You can have your cake and eat it too with Terry McGinnis as Batman. And I know throughout the reviews of these episodes that both, I think, especially like Jamie or maybe you, Andy, that like you said, like Batman, I mean Terry, and like you guys have tripped up thinking like, well, no, Bruce is Batman, no, and Terry's Terry. But I think the whole point of the show is to say like, no, Terry is just as valid as Batman here, and I think that's the whole point of the show. And I think that's very, like, I think it's an inspiring thing to see, and to make him his son, like, it just seems like it's a huge retcon. Like I buy Damian being Batman's son more because like there was precedent.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Even though that like Denny O'Neil said that original story in the 80s that Mike W. Barr wrote that like that's not really canonical. It didn't really happen. Well, Grant Morrison made it canonical anyway. So, but comic book continuity, like Uncle Ben's the only person who stayed dead in comics. I'm knocking on wood right now. He'll be back eventually.
I mean, there was a time when that saying was the only people that stay dead in comics are Bucky and Uncle Ben. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
And Jason Todd once upon a time.
Yeah.
So the point is that Uncle Ben is coming back in a vengeful new persona, and he's going to take some motherfuckers out.
But like that's my negatives of it.
Can I just jump in real quick? As long as we're talking about this, I am with you and Brendan. The retcon of Terry being Bruce's son doesn't work for me at all. I don't like it. I think it's a stretch. I don't think it holds up to scrutiny. When you go back and watch the pilot of Batman Beyond, even with knowing what happens in Epilogue, I'm like, no, this doesn't work. And I appreciate what they're trying to do, but I'm with you completely. That is one aspect of Epilogue I've never liked. I've never bought it. I think it is so much stronger a story that this random kid, Terry McGinnis, through a series of unfortunate events, ends up crossing paths with Bruce and then becoming the next Batman because of it. Not because it was preordained by Cadmus that they put Bruce's DNA into his father. Like, it's too much. I'm not a fan. So I'm with you guys.
Okay. I'm going to stop everybody right there and just say, I love all three of you guys, but apparently I'm a crazy person. I'm just saying. Because it works for me.
This isn't going the way I thought it would at all. I thought I'd be by myself.
Is it clear and obvious that it's a retcon? Yes, it is. Without a question. In fact, I think we even started talking about that clear back when we first started reviewing Batman Beyond in reference to it, because we all knew how this closure played out in Epilogue. But somehow, I don't know if it's the emotional beats carrying me through it and allowing me to overlook it, or if it's just because it plain works for me. I think it's a good story, and I don't have any problem with it. Would it have been my first choice? Probably not. But I think in the way that this story is told in this episode, I think it plays out very nicely. That's just me.
Oh, totally. And like that's my negative part of this episode. But unlike Brendan, this has some of my favorite Batman moments is with Batman and Ace. That Batman is the compassionate individual that will be with you to the bitter end. Especially like when, like I know that like whenever the final synapses are going through my brain, I'm going to think about Batman comforting me in that moment, very much like how Ace does here. I mean, I carry, like, most times I have a Batman action figure in one of my pockets as a good luck talisman to get me through the day. So seeing Batman be with her until the very end and comfort her and just be able to ease you into the next realm of existence, I think that's really special and something that's always stuck with me. So that's why I'm always so, like, people, like, say unequivocally, like, Epilogue's one of the best things that Batman's ever been a part of. And I always want to be, like, the well-actually guy, but I don't want to stir that up because I just don't need a headache, but here I am.
Well, there you go. Everybody, please log any complaints with Tim Rooney. But no, I mean, honestly, I'm very close to where you are, Tim. I think that you and I very much see eye to eye on this one. And when you said, when I realized, oh, it's not because he loves it, it's because he loves parts and then he doesn't love other parts, that's exactly where I'm at. The retcon has always bugged me. I've never been able to buy into it. Even watching it this time, I was like, well, if you say so, I don't buy it. But all the other stuff I really like. I like the checking in on, again, the Justice League and checking in on Dana and seeing where Terry is 15 years later. Like, all of that I think is really good. And then especially that backstory about Batman and Ace, it does work for me. I think it is a beautiful Batman moment. I don't know where I'd rank it. I'm not there. I'm not ready to commit to any of that. But I think it's a great Batman story, and it's really something that shows Batman's humanity. I think it's Michael Uslan who often says that Batman's superpower is his humanity, and this is a story that displays that beautifully. And I've said on this show many times, is I feel like that's an aspect of Batman sometimes we forget to show. And I love it when any version of Batman is like, oh, remember, he is still a good man trying to do a good thing and trying to make the world a better place. And I think that we forget that amongst all the darkness and the angst and the badassery. Like, sometimes you want this aspirational Batman story where he shows compassion and love and humanity. And I think the Ace story does that. I think it's great. So I mean, and I'm sorry to do like a fan rewrite, but I'm like, I wish the story wasn't about this DNA mystery of Bruce's DNA being part of Terry, and it was more about Terry and Bruce having a falling out to the point where Terry is going to quit being Batman, and Amanda Waller brings him back by telling him this story and brings them back where Terry starts seeing Bruce in a new way and understanding that, yes, he can be standoffish. Yes, he can be stubborn. All of that stuff is true, but at the same time, he's a hero and he has a huge heart, and that's a part of Batman you've got to embrace too, and that's what brings them back together. I just feel like that's a stronger story than, oh, Cadmus secretly put Bruce's DNA into Terry's father before Terry was born. It's just, you don't need that. All the other stuff is so good that you don't need the DNA nonsense.
Do you not see that as something that Amanda Waller would do, as being that character as one that you know? Because I see it. That's why it works for me. Like, if it's Bruce trying to clone himself because he wants to do it, I think I would be a little more unsteady with that. But the fact that Amanda Waller is saying, I've seen Batman, save the world, a dozen times, or whatever the line is she says, with nothing but his wits and his will, and there's a third thing that she says that it's escaping me, which is sad because I watched it twice today. It just, I think it all works for me because I can see Amanda Waller doing something like that. That's why it doesn't seem out of place to me.
I can see her doing it. I just don't like the retcon.
Yeah. I'm with you, Brendan.
Can I ask you guys a question though? Because I mean, I've never read any of the current or New 52, whatever, like the Carry-On comics. Is him being the DNA like son, is that part of it? Like, do they carry that? Do they keep that going, or?
I read probably the first 20 or so issues of the Rebirth era of Batman Begins. And frankly, and I have a terrible memory and it's been several years, I don't recall it ever being referenced one time in that book.
Like, I read a little bit of the Kyle Higgins run, but it was initially like digital first and then eventually became print. I don't think here it's referenced that much. And to respond to what Jamie was saying before, but like, can I see Waller doing that? Yes, totally, without a doubt. But I can also see Magneto making all the pacemakers in the world explode and killing everybody. Doesn't mean I want to see it, though.
I mean, I'd pay money for that.
Well, again, I think they're... Yes, it is within Amanda Waller's personality to do something like this, to do something this manipulative. But I think, to Brendan's point, and this is why it doesn't work for me, is to try and go back and say, oh yeah, all this happened before what we saw. That's where I feel like it doesn't match up. That's the retcon. That's where I'm like, because again, then the way they kind of like half-ass it of being like, we were going to kill your parents, but we didn't. But then it was up to fate. and fate killed your father, which brought you to Bruce. And then I'm like, well, at that point, you're not even manipulating the situation. Thank God for the coincidence that your father got caught up in stuff and got murdered. Like, there are just aspects of it that don't quite work. Like, if it was a story that was literally just about Amanda Waller trying to create a new Batman, where I didn't have to buy into a retcon, I think that would be a stronger story.
Fair enough.
So, but it is interesting because I think it's a pretty beloved episode.
Oh, it definitely is.
Yeah, for all of those reasons. And I am curious as to how many people love the retcon, because it does feel like that's the most controversial part. And I don't know if it's just that the Ace moment is so strong that like the retcon people are like, whatever. Like, I don't care because the Ace stuff is so good. Or if people just buy all in, throughout. But as we said, there is so much covered in this episode that it's truly impressive, and I like all of those nods and things throughout, and I think it is a great way to put a bow on the story of Terry and Bruce and their relationship, even without the the clone DNA thing.
Yes, Terry, you're my clone, baby. It's like, like it almost seems like you're not the father. It's like that's the kind of moment that should be happening in this episode. Yeah, like it's like I said, like it's some of the best stuff, and some I think it's Bruce Timm because like he was the co-writer of it. I think he's trying to be too cute. It's too writerly. To like, I want to make everything connected, and it's just like it stretches credibility to do so.
Yeah, I agree. All right. Well, why don't we give some letter grades? Unless there's anything else you guys wanted to dig into.
No, I'm just going to sit here and cry in my beer now.
That's okay. But here's the thing. I am glad it all worked for you, because I think there are a lot of people, a lot of fans of this episode who it does work for all of them. So I'm glad that out of the four of us, one of us is like, no, it's all good. I'm glad about that.
Yeah, and I think I've had this conversation, like this exact conversation with a friend of the show, Jay Oz, and he sees it very much like you and I, Andy. Like, yeah, like it's some really good parts, but also really bad parts as well. That it's like it's a mixed bag, to say the least.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Jay is usually pretty smart.
Mm-hmm.
Not that you're not smart, Jamie. Not that you're not smart. I'm not saying.
No. I see where y'all are going. That's fine. That's fine.
I love you and I appreciate you, and I think that you're great.
Jay's a crazy person too. It's fine. It's all good.
Don't say that, or he'll stop throwing knowledge our way when we have questions. He'll go on strike, and we'll be left out in the woods. All right, cool. And anyway, yeah, I know we all mentioned it, but I did love the inclusion of the Phantasm. Like, that's such a cool surprise. They didn't have to do that. They could have used anyone for that assassin part, and I think that it was really cool and smart to use Andrea. I like that a lot.
The only comic book I'm buying right now, I guess there's technically two, because Superman 78's done now, so there's like one or two more issues of Batman 89 coming, and the Batman Catwoman limited series that Tom King's writing. And the only reason I'm still buying that one is because Phantasm got put into Batman continuity with that.
Nice.
So,
is it good?
Big fan. So far it's got some Tom King-y stuff going on. But,
Ringing endorsement.
Ask me that question.
How many times has he killed Batman, and how many issues?
How many rooftop conversations have happened?
Ask me that question again when issue 12 drops.
All right.
Oh boy.
Okay, letter grades for Epilogue. I'm very curious. Jamie, go first.
A+.
Wow.
A+.
All right.
I love it. There's nothing. I get what you guys are saying. In all seriousness, your points are perfectly valid, and I understand. It's just, it works for me. Nothing about it does not work for me. Whether it's the choice I would have made or even preferred, probably not. I will certainly concede that much, but I think it was well done enough that I can go with it. And I don't really have a problem with them taking that swing. So for me, it's an A+ episode.
Wow. Okay, that's cool. Brendan, what about you?
B-.
Oh, okay. And what about you, Tim?
I think I have to do a solid B. Like I like it more than Brendan. Like I said, like the Ace stuff is fantastic, but yeah, the retconning is just a little too much for me to swallow. And now I'm just imagining Jamie's gonna lock us all up in a padded cell in the puzzle factory.
All right, I'm gonna B plus because the rest of it
consistent, right?
is so good that yeah. I mean that's solid. A plus B plus B minus.
It's a gamut.
I mean,
Cool.
if that doesn't just in a nutshell wrap up Batman Beyond for this show.
All right. Cool.
Just the opinions are all over the place.
All over the darn place.
I'll just point out that none of us gave it below a B, the B level grading. But we're going to get emails and tweets saying that we hated it.
All right. Well, that's fine. Okay. So, epilogue. And that does bring us to the end of Batman Beyond, guys. It's been a long road. But now we can say we've seen every episode of Batman Beyond, which is exciting. But we can't just say, okay, that's it. Bye. Good night, everybody. I wanted to do a little wrap up as well. So I wanted us to, now that we've done it, talk about what was our least favorite episode or our favorite episode. And then just some final closing thoughts about the series as a whole. So least favorite episode. Jamie, did you think of one?
I don't know that I'm going to be able to play the favorite or least favorite game here. I think what I'm going to do is just kind of give my overall thoughts of the series as presented as a whole, and just kind of ride off into the sunset with that. And
I'm with
I
Jamie
will say,
on
okay,
I told everybody when we put up the voting for what we were going to do next. I don't remember if I just said it to you guys or if I said it on Twitter or where I said it, but I said, listen, if they don't pick Batman Beyond, I'm never going to watch the show. If they vote Batman Beyond as the next show that we're going to do, I'm going to watch it. And I always had a resistance to it. I said going in, I wasn't really a fan of it. And, as you heard me go along, I think at best I can probably say the series as a whole was okay. I thought there were some really nice concepts. I thought there was a lot of missed opportunities, but there were some decent character moments. There were some nice things that were did, because it's a relatively fresh episode. I still keep going back to that one that drives home that mental health message and how relevant that is, 20 years later, as we were talking about the show. I mean, I don't want to call that my favorite episode, but that was certainly one of my favorite things that this show ever did. And I think they did so much to create a new world of Batman. And I think that's both to its credit and its detriment. And that Batman hadn't established enough universe. We talked about this right along. They could have done more to bring back more of the Rogues Gallery or their like versus trying to create other ones, or they at least could have been more consistent with the ones that they did. Like Ink was one of my favorite villains of the show, probably my favorite overall villain of the series. And they brought her back numerous times. Even in this final epilogue episode, she gets a nod in there, as does a couple of the other familiar faces. And we talked about that with Mad Stan on the last episode. There were things that they toyed around with and did, and sometimes you take big swings and you miss, and sometimes you hit it out of the park. And this show, overall, for me, I think just was a mixed bag. But I think I'm thinking off the cuff here. I think I would give a more positive look to the show now than I would have prior to watching it. If that makes, I mean, I know that sounds silly, but I always just wrote the show off as nothing I need to see. I don't care about Batman when it's not Bruce Wayne. There's no appeal of the show to me. But at this point, I can at least say I'm glad I watched it. It's a piece of Batman history. It's a significant one for a lot of you out there. And to an extent, I think I see why now. But it's still not a train I'm going to ride with you guys on. So I think the show was pretty good, but I think it could have been much better than what it was overall.
All right, cool. That's fair. Brendan, why don't you share?
It's funny, when this show was being produced, I mean, I don't ever recall seeing it air on Australian television. I could be wrong. My introduction to it was I saw a VHS in early 2000. It was called Batman of the Future, the movie. And I loved Batman the Animated Series. And I'm like, oh, this looks like a continuation. I'll grab this video and check it out. And it was like the first 3 or 4 episodes just put together. And I didn't mind it, but that was kind of as far as I went into it. And then around 2009, I think they released season 1 over here, and again it was called Batman of the Future. And from memory, I watched all of season 1. I can't really recall all the episodes, but I was kind of like, okay, it is what it is. I didn't dislike it. It was kind of revisiting it here where it's just made me go, you know what, this really isn't for me. Like, I've said it from the start. Like, I don't openly want to hate it, and I don't openly want to hate anything Batman. But it's just not for me. Like, I don't like sci-fi. Really, I've never made that a secret. That's just me as a whole. And this sort of, that future sci-fi, flying cars, everything's like kind of weird looking, and because it's so far in the future, everything's electric guitar. I don't know, it just doesn't work for me as a whole. I'm glad that we revisited it for the fact that, I mean, I can't say like you guys I've seen every episode, because the episodes of the podcast that I wasn't on where you did a review, I didn't watch those episodes. I watched the ones that I had to because I was on the podcast. But I'm not going to go out of my way to.
Oh, I thought you were committed. Jamie was. Even their episodes he wasn't on, he still watched them, I think.
Good for Jamie.
Well, that's why he's the first co-host and you're second.
Exactly. In saying that too, Jamie doesn't have a 1-year-old. But I'm not going to watch this again. Look, I'm glad that it exists for the people who grew up on it and love it. I really just blows my mind that some people are like, well, this is my introduction to the character. That just really blows my mind. But in saying that too, I've always said, like, the good thing about Batman is there's a version for everyone. And if this version works for you and you love it, more power to you. It's just not for me. And I do look, in closing out my thoughts on it, I do apologize for the people who do genuinely love this show and they've had to put up with my reviews for the last year and a half, 2 years. I haven't intentionally meant to upset or offend anyone. I've just got to give my honest opinions, and it's just not for me. So I haven't liked a big chunk of it, and I do apologize, and I hope that whatever we review next, it'll be much more positive from me.
All right, Tim. I mean, I don't know how much of the journey you've gone with us on, but I don't know if you have any overall thoughts of Batman Beyond you want to share.
Yeah, because like a lot of people, when this first aired, I didn't like it because I'm like, well, we already have Batman. Why do we need another Batman? Why do we need this future Batman? Because I had such an indelible love for the Batman the Animated Series. So I had written it off initially when it was first airing. Like, I had watched an episode here or two because it was on, but it didn't I never begged to buy any of the toys, which was a marker for how much I was really invested with a TV show or movie at the time. But it was weird. I think it was around high school that I actually, funny enough, came back around to it, because high school was a terrible time for me. With like family life and friend life, it was just like I was in a very, very, very bad place, and didn't have that many friends, and that's when like Batman came back into my life, especially this one, because I could relate to Terry's problems, not having the secret identity. I'm not a vigilante and a.
That's exactly what a vigilante would say.
That's exactly what a vigilante would say to.
Yes, I am the famous pun-isher, as Jeremy has coined me.
Yeah, and you haven't killed a lot of people, but you've broken their spirits.
It's a game of attrition. It's just like 1,000 cuts. That's how I break them down.
Yep, death by 1,000 puns.
Oh man, and so and that's also when I was starting to get more and more into science fiction. I'm kind of like the opposite of Brendan in that regard, but I was starting to get more and more into science fiction, especially cyberpunk. So it just fed into that, and I've continued that fandom into like following it up with the comics and really enjoying those runs, and it just proves that like I was saying before, like having an audience surrogate be Batman is just incredible. It's another reason why like. I know it's pretty much the Spider-Man formula for Batman. It is Peter Parker's
really
problems
is.
in a Batman cowl, which I know people really bristle at. 'Cause I know, Jamie, you're not a fan of Spider-Man in the least, so I can understand why that being a fundamental block to get over with this series.
I think I even mentioned that when we did Return of the Joker way back then, that I thought this was kind of Spider-Man-ish. So yeah, I get what you're saying.
Right, and like in my defense of that is like, Spider-Man formula has been applied to Batman before. I mean, you go back to Chuck Dixon's run on Robin in the 90s, that's a Spider-Man formula to Tim Drake. And but even with like he has got multiple like love interests at the same time, and while being a superhero, like to the point that Steve Ditko should have been like, wait, hold on, I think you owe me some money here. But
they should have made that an animated series.
Yes.
I'd watch the hell out of that. Anyway, sorry, continue.
No, oh shit, Andy. Now you say that out loud and I'm thinking about it.
Imagine Batman Beyond, but it's Tim Drake's Robin and it's in the present. So Batman is a supporting player, but it's the Chuck Dixon Robin run. Oh my god, that'd be the best show ever.
But now that you
sign me up.
Yeah, like especially like you season 1 finale is Joker's favor.
Oh, hell yeah. Okay, sorry, continue.
Anyway, and so I can just totally relate to that kind of formula being applied to this character, and I really enjoy that. And it led to one of the best DC animated movies, Return of the Joker, which I know if Epilogue is not the favorite of this run, Return of the Joker is usually the other one. And I fully sign off on that. And yeah, I think this is a really rewarding show, but I understand completely why people don't like it, even though it has angered me over the time. Like, there are times listening to Brendan review things, and I was just, like, looking at my phone, like, oh, if I was there, like, why I oughta to the moon, Alice, and what have you.
Whenever he does that, just be like, oh, this bitch.
Oh, I've said that and other things, and I'm just like, nope, I'm glad no one's here to hear the rant, because I really look like a crazy person just like talking out loud.
All right. Okay. It's very interesting to hear everybody's thoughts of this, because I do feel like opinions of Batman Beyond, I mean, to Jamie's point as we were wrapping up, like they're all over the place. And it's funny because I come from a place where I like Batman Beyond. I liked it when it came out. I watched, I think, I got about halfway through the series when the DVDs were out, and then I lost track. And so I always wanted to finish it anyway. And so this gave me a great excuse to do so. And I do like that by doing it for this show, we've been able to get through the whole series. And now I can go, yeah, I've seen every episode of Batman Beyond. And I've always enjoyed it, but I always did feel a little guilty in that I didn't love it. I liked it. I didn't love it. And it is for all the reasons that I think Jamie and Brendan, it's not their favorite either, is because like, it's just maybe a couple degrees removed from what we love about Batman. You know, Bruce Wayne is no longer Batman. It's in the future. Gotham looks different. There's flying cars. Like, yeah, the Rogues Gallery is, for the most part, absent. And so you're missing a lot of the things that we already love about Batman. And those are the things that I love, right? And so I've always been open to this other version of it, and I've enjoyed it for what it is, but it's just never been at the top of my list to go back to when I'm looking at Batman media. Tim, you make a great point, though. I mean, if it wasn't for Batman Beyond, we wouldn't have gotten Batman Beyond Return of the Joker, which is an amazing animated film. It's a great one. So we can always be grateful for the series for giving us that. So going into this, it was interesting just to hear the opinions of the three of us who, you know, we were not diehard Batman Beyond fans, but we were open to it. And it was interesting to hear episode to episode where we fell, which ones we loved, which ones we hated, which ones we disagreed on. And we had all of that and more as we went through. And where it ends is I enjoyed the trip. And there were certainly episodes that I really loved, and there were episodes that I really thought were kind of WTF, and there was quite a bit in the middle. But the ones I loved the most, if you listened, are always the ones that kind of have a foot in the past back to the Batman that we love. So I think my favorite episode has always been the Mr. Freeze episode, because that is a classic member of the Rogues Gallery where it's not a stretch to bring him into the future. And it gives us some of that classic Batman, but within this realm of Batman Beyond, where Terry now has to deal with it. And it's a continuation of Victor Freeze's story. That's always been the episode that when I think about Batman Beyond, that's the one where I'm always like, oh, but that one's so good. So, and then even out of the past, we certainly had our issues with the second half of that episode, but I still think it's one of the better ones because it makes a lot of sense for Ra's al Ghul and Talia to resurface 50 years in the future and for reasons. And so those are the ones I like the most and the ones I look forward to revisiting. But at the end of the day, Batman Beyond is still an important moment in Batman's history. It is a show and a version of Batman that a lot of fans love, and I respect that, and I think it's great. Even if it's not my favorite version, for the ones who love it dearly, I think that's so cool, and I've been happy to go in and educating myself on the series as we've done it on this show for those fans, for the people who do love it. So it has been a fun journey, and I will refer back to our pal Jay Yaws, because I think that he said this when we decided we were going to do the series. He said, Batman Beyond, the series is better than any one episode. And I thought that was a really good way of putting it, because I do have good positive vibes about Batman Beyond as a whole, even though the episodes are very hit and miss and they're very spotty and they're all over the place. The overall concept, I think, is cool and it's fun and it's a unique little subset of Batman lore, and I respect it for that. And then going through, I mean, I've always said their biggest challenge they've had is to, if you don't have the classic Rogues Gallery, you've got to create a whole new Rogues Gallery, and that's hard. And I think they did their damnedest, and I think sometimes it was more successful than others. But I'll be damned if they didn't try. By the time the show was over, we had tons of new villains that, like Ink. I agree with Jamie. I think Ink is probably the best. She's also the one who I think showed up the most. I think there's a reason for that. And those villains, I think, they can be exploited later in other media, whether it be comic books or whether you bring them into the present or whatever. They did a lot of work, and it was hard work of trying to create a new set of Rogues Gallery for Terry that would even try to stack up to the ones that Bruce dealt with in his prime. And I respect them for that. So it has been a good time. There have been ups and downs as we go, but I'm really glad we did it. And so I end where we began. I like it. I do think I like it more now than when we started, because as we've gone through and we found those episodes that really spoke to us or were nice surprises, there are a lot of bright spots. And then again, there were some weird ones, like where the athletes were like splicing with animal DNA or something. I can remember that one was weird. There was a Rat Boy one where I was like, what is this? So some weird stuff, but bless them.
I'm thankful I missed that bloody Cobra 2-parter. Listening to you guys review that, I'm like, what in the hell?
It's strange.
It is. The Egg Baby, that was good. I liked the Egg Baby. That one was surprisingly good. So anyway, it has been fun. I've enjoyed it. For the listeners out there, I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Even if you love Batman Beyond and you've been disappointed that we don't love it as much as you do, it's still been fun going through the series. And hang in there, because we will do it again with another series soon. I still think I'm going to leave it up to the listeners. Sorry, Brendan.
You don't have to.
I just think we should go chronologically. That's my thing.
Right.
Despite the fact that the Batman would be next, I think chronological is the way to go.
All right. Well, we'll see if the listeners agree with you. How about that?
Well, I mean, if that's true, we should have started with Super Friends, right?
Well. So, Batman Beyond, it's been a fun journey. How many episodes overall? 52 episodes. 53 if you count Epilogue, of the show. And we do have some options for next one. One is the Batman. That's Brendan's choice. There's also Beware the Batman. There's Batman Brave and the Bold. We do want to stick to animation, I think. I I'll give up on Batman 66 because we'll stick to animation, but I feel like the voting should be those three. But Brendan, if you want to make your case, you can, and maybe it'll sway enough people to vote your way.
Oh, I mean, I've said from the get-go that the Batman, for some reason, it just seems to be overlooked. Like, people seem to go, Batman the Animated Series, Batman Beyond, and Batman Brave and the Bold. And it's like, there's a show in the middle there with 5 seasons, 5 short seasons, but I think it just deserves some love. It's often forgotten and overlooked, like I said. And I mean, we've just had a movie come out called The Batman, so there's that argument that it kind of makes sense to do the animated series of the same name. But I don't know, I just think starting with Batman the Animated Series, as this show did, which is before my time being involved, is a good starting point. And I just think, why not go chronological from there in terms of solo Batman animated series? So we went from Batman the Animated Series to Batman Beyond, then we do the Batman Brave and the Bold, and then what was the one after that? Was it
Beware the Batman?
Beware the Batman. I always think Fear the Batman. That's not what it is. Like Beware the Batman. And by the time we get through all of those, we'd have
I'll be dead.
We'll at least have at least one season, maybe 2, who knows, of the new Batman series that's coming out. So by that time we'd be able to review those episodes. So that's my thing, is chronological. But
all right,
which he never mentioned until he figured out there was a legitimate chance we weren't doing his show next. By the way,
I say you don't have to put up to a vote. You can make a decision. People are gonna have to download anyway, so
that's what I think.
Democracy doesn't work. We've learned this.
Well.
All right. Well, stay tuned and we'll figure out what we're doing next. But thank you, Brendan. You can put your soapbox away.
I will.
All right. Well, there you go. Batman Beyond. Tie it up with a bow. We did it, guys. I still feel a sense of accomplishment. Go us.
It was a little bittersweet today. I'm not going to lie. I was kind of, you get these new chapters in your life, as small and I guess insignificant to life as a whole as it may be. I felt just a little bit of sadness in being done with this today.
Yeah.
Even though it wasn't my favorite show or, even my favorite iteration, version, any of that stuff, it just little bittersweet. I'm glad to be done with it. I'm glad to say that I have watched the entire series, so I can base opinions on actually having viewed the show instead of just judging the book by its cover. But that accomplishment, and again, Epilogue. I watched it. I went and made myself lunch. I came and sat back down 3 minutes later, and I watched it immediately again. So I guess I wasn't quite ready to let go at that moment. But.
It was a little sad where on HBO Max where you've got like continue watching. And as soon as it vanished from the continue watching section, where I was like, "Oh, It's gone. It went into the great digital black hole."
I'm just glad I can delete this shit off my tablet now.
I'm just expecting we're gonna get a message from Jamie. He's gonna be his 10th pumpkin spice beer in. And he says I'm in tears right now. I'm watching the Egg Baby episode, and just be enamored with that episode again.
R.I.P. the Egg Baby.
Mm-hmm.
When people say what Batman arc should be a movie, how about the Egg Baby? That should be the sequel to the Batman. The Batman, the Egg Baby. All right, guys.
Can you imagine what the aesthetic of the Egg Baby would be?
Oh, why'd you do it? Why'd you do it? Why'd you go there?
It'd be a demented Humpty Dumpty egg. That's what it looked like.
Anyway. Before we say goodbye, we've got to check in with you fine feathered finks and crack open the Wayne Manor mailbox. It's time again for the Wayne Manor mailbox.
You've got mail.
Darren, what is a letter for me?
Maybe temporary.
She wrote a letter.
You're one hell of a messenger. This is all Master Wayne.
We only got a couple. It's going to be quick. First email's from our old pal, Julian Chan. It says, "Hey there, Bat Chums. How they hanging? Trimmed and fragrant? You better believe it, buddy." He says, "Very quick poser for this week. If you could only choose one, would you rather have 3 amazing Bat feature films, which also feature members of the Bat family, or 10 seasons of an amazing live-action Batman TV series, 10 episodes per season, in which he takes on 1 or 2 villains per season, and the rest of the Bat family could appear progressively. Choose wisely, Jazzy Jules. Thanks, Julian. All right. Tim, I'll let you go first. What say you? 3 Batman movies that features the Bat family, or 10 seasons of a TV series?
TV series. Because I think comic book properties just lend themselves more to TV and animation, so I think that's what it would be. Like, as much as like the momentous occasion of going to the movie theater and seeing on a big screen, I think we all kind of agree that character development and character moments is what brings us back to these stories over and over again, and you have more opportunities to do that with the show.
Okay, Brendan.
Look, I can't argue with Tim, and you know, I say this when we spent 30 minutes prior to recording talking about Stranger Things. You know, like cinematic television, it's a thing, and I get it. But I'm gonna have to say movie. 3 movies. There's nothing like the feeling of going to see a new Batman movie on the big screen in the cinema, and just a new Batman movie in general. And look, a TV series would be great, and I get you can expand on things more and stuff like that, but I don't know. I have a feeling Andy will be with me on this one, but there's just, a Batman movie coming out 89, and it's that can't be topped, and a TV series, it just can't give me that vibe, and that's what I want.
Okay, Jamie.
I mean, I've been watching a lot of Young Justice lately, and I'm current now. Great show.
I am too. Oh my God, I've caught up. I was homesick this week. Fortunately, my voice has survived, and it allowed me to catch up on Young Justice. And man, did it come together! Whew, I'm so glad. Anyway, sorry. Please continue.
But because I'm fresh in the brain on that, I'm like Clary and the Witch Boy, and I'm going to throw a little hissy fit that I want both.
You can't. You can't.
That would be the ideal answer.
I know that's the ideal answer, but you can't. You have to choose.
Okay, but I'm going to choose, and I immediately, this is what I chose based on it, and it's not because I wouldn't love either. I absolutely would love to have 10 seasons of a quality Batman show in a built universe with all those characters in it, but I'm going to choose movies for this reason and this reason only. Because 3 movies is somewhere between 7 and 8 hours of content, so it's very easy to go back and revisit.
That's true.
10 seasons of a show is weeks upon weeks upon weeks of effort to rewatch. So movies for the simplicity and time constraint.
Yeah. I completely understand the argument for the show, but I'm also going to say movies.
Wow.
Yeah. But to be fair, I flip-flopped like 3 times as you guys were talking. Because it's too hard, because I want it all. I want the world. I want the whole world. But yeah, like I went, oh, obviously TV show, more content, more good. And then I was like, oh, but Brendan makes a good point. Nothing like going to see a new Batman movie, and god damn it, we need the freaking Bat family on the big screen before I die. And I was like, oh, but 10 seasons, so many, like that's you could do so much. You could bring in other villains that aren't ever going to be in a movie. Oh, but man, a trilogy, one cohesive trilogy. So hard, but I am going to go with movies. I think I am. There's just something about just the cinematic quality of Batman and his world and the Bat family, and to finally get a real trilogy with the Bat family, I don't want to pass that up. So, tough call, but that's where I'm going to land.
Now, he handicapped himself here by saying 10 seasons. If he would have said ongoing for the rest of my life, I probably would have went with TV.
I mean, like, how often has people done a complete rewatch of Smallville?
I mean, there's a lot of fans that I'm sure have done it. It's not me, and I really like the show a lot. In fact, I dare say I love Smallville, but I've never gone back to revisit it because of that reason. The time constraint is brutal.
Yeah.
Like Game of Thrones is literally one of my favorite TV series or anything of all time. And I just finished a rewatch on that, and it's probably going to be a good 5 years before I even think about doing that again. maybe longer.
Yeah,
So
that's fair. All right. Next message is from Charlie Higgins. It says, "Hey guys, I wanted to let you know that I've ordered the Batman Steelbook Special Edition released by HMV in the UK. I'm curious to know the differences between this and the Steelbook that you guys will get in the US and Australia. The HMV one includes an exclusive design, 3 discs, 4K feature disc, Blu-ray feature disc, and Blu-ray bonus extra content disc. Also has 15 minutes of extra content exclusive to HMV. 4 premium art cards, slipcase, and an A3 poster. I'm keen to see what the extra 15 minutes of content are. Anyway, hope you're well. Cheers, Charlie." Thanks, Charlie. I'll tell you, I got the Best Buy Steelbook. So thanks to Eric Carter for telling me it was still available so I could get one. Thanks, Eric. Mine didn't come with any posters or art cards, I'll tell you that. So good on you. It did come with 3 discs. It came with a 4K disc, a Blu-ray, and 2 Blu-rays. So I think that's pretty consistent. As far as the differences in the bonus content, I would have to literally look at it side by side. But the one I have has tons of bonus features, tons of documentaries and behind the scenes and things like that. And it came with the digital copy, which allowed me to get the iTunes exclusive commentary. So I'm not mad at what I got in my Best Buy Steelbook. I'm pretty content with it. I don't know which versions you guys got. Brendan?
Well, ours isn't out yet. Ours actually comes out this week. And the only place that does steelbooks in Australia is JB Hi-Fi. So I will be getting their steelbook, and it's an exclusive artwork to them. It's hard to explain. I'll have to post a photo of it on Twitter or something. It's a 2-disc, so you get the Blu-ray and the 4K. Actually, no, hang on. 4K HD 2 Blu-ray, so it must be 3 discs as well. So there'd obviously be some bonus content on there. I haven't gone through and read what all the bonus stuff will be because I'm going to buy it regardless. So yeah, I'll let you know maybe in the next episode what it's like because I should have it by this time next week.
Okay. Tim, have you bought your version yet?
Not yet. I don't usually go for steelbooks, but I think I'm going to for this one because of just the sheer amount of material that comes with it and how the itinerary that Charlie just broke down for the HMV one. It seems like what I'm imagining, he opens up as a diorama, pops out of it with all that stuff coming out of it. It seems like just so jam-packed with stuff. And I'm hoping to get the steelbook for this, but it does lead me to a question. How do you guys feel about when there's commentary tracks, but it's a digital exclusive? How do you guys feel about that?
I think it's silly to make it a digital exclusive. I saw a little bit of back and forth about this between fans. Because I'm like, if you recorded the damn thing, why would you not have it on the Blu-ray? That seems silly to me. But because the Blu-ray came with the digital copy, I guess I still have access to it. So I'm not bothered personally, but I just think it's silly to do exclusive to this and exclusive to this. It's come on, guys, we're buying the movie. Just give us everything.
Yeah, because I think David F. Sandberg did the same thing for Shazam. He did a commentary for that, but it's an iTunes exclusive, and I'm just come on, it's really that hard to add one extra audio file to the Blu-ray? It just seems. I understand you want to push digital, and digital is the prominent one because it costs so little to produce versus physical media, but I think you're hurting one customer base to prop up another doing that.
Yeah, and I think the irony is movie geeks are more likely to buy physical, and they're also more likely to listen to a commentary. So it feels like it doesn't quite match up because the digital files, I usually have. I'm more digital these days, but especially for the DC films, I still usually will buy it physically. But yeah, for these really premium steel cases or collector's editions and all of that stuff, the people who are buying that are the super fans, and those are the ones who are going to want the commentary anyway.
Yeah. And for anybody who's really a Blu-ray enthusiast, I do recommend a website called Blu-ray.com that do detailed breakdowns. If they have a review of it, they'll do it by video-based, audio-based, and extras-based, and they'll break down exactly what's on the disc, and they'll rate it depending on what the quality of the files are for those movies.
Nice. Cool. Jamie, have you picked up a copy yet?
I'm just using my HBO Max copy right now until it goes on sale in the iTunes bin.
That's fair. Because I had pre-ordered, this is so stupid I am. Because I had pre-ordered the Steelbook, I was like, I'm not watching it on HBO Max. I'm waiting to get my copy in the mail. Because I'm like, I paid for it. I'm using it, damn it. But there you go. There's a lot of editions out there. Pick out the one that works for you. And I hope that whatever the 15 minutes of bonus content is that you're getting in the UK, Charlie, I hope it's awesome. And then one last one here from our old pal Tom Fallows. It says, hey guys, I hope everything's going well. Sorry about my last question about the comic book storylines matching with each Batman. I do like a good homework question. However, I would have loved to have seen Burton and Keaton do Arkham Asylum and Affleck do A Lonely Place of Dying. My question today is not too difficult. You've got your own Batcave in your house. What piece of furniture or ornament in your home would you use as the entrance? Thanks for the great podcast. I'll try to give you guys more notice when I send homework. Tom Fallows. Thanks, Tom. All right, so we got a Batcave in your house, which I do have one, but it just has a door. But if it were to have a secret entrance to your Batcave, what would it be, Jamie?
I have two back doors that come right. I have a walkout basement, which is technically my Batcave, I guess. And then I have an entrance that goes through the house through a dual staircase. But the secret entrance, I use air quotes for secret here, would have to be let's see, what direction am I looking at? West. The east rear door, because right above that door are where the bats live, literally. So I'm gonna say that. Like it's not quite dark out yet, so I bet if I go out there right now, there's 5 or 6 bats just hanging below the deck right above the walkout doors to my basement.
Well, then it's already ready to go.
Yeah.
All right. Brendan, what about you? What would be the entrance to your Batcave?
I don't know. Mine, I mean, I've got like my little office on the, top floor of our place, but it's just a door.
Same.
No, I mean, I'd like there to be something kind of cool. Like, I'd like maybe my office, kind of similar to Batman Forever. Maybe like my office is the entrance, and like people think this is where I am, but then I shut the door and I press a button and I zoom off somewhere else. Just
in a tunnel.
in terms of just like the layout of my house, like I think that's the only way that there's not really a way to make a hidden entrance to this one.
Yeah.
But maybe the office is the entrance. I come in here and I pull back the statue head of one of my Batman figures and press a button as opposed to a Shakespeare bust, and something opens up, and then I take the bat pole somewhere, or I zoom off to it. Like I said, there's a pod that takes me somewhere else or something.
Okay. And Tim, what about you?
Well, like my house is a split ranch, so like when you walk in, you're faced with a staircase that can either take you up or down, and that's the only place you can go in the house. And so, in the basement, used to be an apartment. Like, it used to be like I lived in an apartment. So there's a rear entrance to back here for it. So I guess that's how you would consider it. And this is like my office area. I just wish I had either a Shakespeare bust or a bookcase that I remove a candle and it would move, and so I was able to come down here so I could keep it more secretive like that.
Nice. I think I would do like a little combo action. I mean, it wouldn't work in my current house layout. I would have to get a new house. I'd have to leave Florida so I could have a basement so my Batcave could actually be underground. Because currently my Batcave is on the second floor as my office.
Is Florida like Louisiana? Are you too low to have basements?
Yeah. Water table's too high, and so you can't. There are no basements in Florida.
Interesting.
So when I go to the Midwest and I see people's basements and they're all tricked out, I'm like, oh, I'm so jealous. I want a basement.
Yeah, and then I'll tell you in December how cold it is, and you'll be like, no, I can live without the cave.
I mean, I lived in Illinois until I was 18. So
notice how he got the hell out of there and never went back.
Well, that is also accurate. So I mean, as it is, because I'm on the second floor, I think like just a bookcase or something. But if we're doing like blue sky here, the Batcave would be in the basement. And I would have the Shakespeare bust. And the Shakespeare bust, when I activated it, it would open up a part of the wall that had the grandfather clock in it. and it would open up, but it would open up to the slide from Batman Returns. And then the slide would go down to the basement, and then I would go into the Batcave.
That's cool.
So it got 3. I guess I could just put like a grandfather clock in front of my door, but that just feels really inconvenient.
I mean, that's heavy. I mean, that's work.
I mean, it's commitment, right? Or it could just be like a facade of a grandfather clock that's made out of like foam core, but painted to look real, and you wouldn't even realize there was a door there, and then it opens.
Given that you're watching Stranger Things, it might also freak the shit out
That,
of you.
I mean, yeah,
Damn
that's
it,
true.
you just beat me to it. I was going to say.
Yeah, it has a whole new meaning now over the past 2 days. Well, that was a fun question, Tom. No homework needed. Thank you for that. That's it. We only got 3 emails. Isn't that crazy? It's been quiet. If you do have something for the Wayne Manor mailbox, though, please send that to holybatcast@rf4rm.com, and we will get to it next time. But that's where we're going to wrap up this show. It's been fun. Tim, thanks for making time. Welcome back to the show. Appreciate your thoughts on Epilogue.
No problem. Thank you for having me back on and being gracious enough to listen to my babbling for the past 2 hours. So I'm very thankful you having me on.
The more babbling you do, the less I have to do.
That's true.
So thank you for that.
That's always good.
Tell everybody where they can find you if they don't know already.
If you don't know where I am on social media, you can find me both on Twitter and Instagram. I made it really easy. I'm at This Is Tim Rooney. Rooney as an Rooney. Like Andy mentioned before, I'm also one of the hosts of Please Rewind, the RF4RM Retro Show. Even though it's currently on hiatus because of I just have a bunch of movie stuff that I've been doing that I've been working on that just between that, 2 jobs and everything and trying to have a social life, something had to give. So Rewind is on the back burner, but I hope to be back sometime this year. I know, well, at least Titanic is 25 years old, and I want to torture Guy making him review that with me.
Oh, hell yeah.
So that's gonna be a lot of fun. Now, if nothing else, the technical aspects of how the movie was made, I think will intrigue Guy, even if the story may not. So yeah, and hopefully, if everything works out, I might be able to squeeze out a Batman fan film this summer, and more news to come about that if I'm able to pull that off. But yeah, on social media, on Twitter and Instagram at This Is Tim Rooney.
I'll say 2 things. Number 1, Titanic rocks. Fight me. Number 2, yeah, Tim's working on a little Batman project, so go give him a follow so you can stay tuned with how that's coming along, how that's developing. Brendan, thank you as always. Thanks for making the time to say farewell to Batman Beyond. Maybe that's why you made the time, is because you could finally say goodbye.
Look, it was just the fact that this was the Batman Beyond episode was actually kind of just, it is what it is. But no, it's just been maybe a month since I've been able to jump on with you guys. So I said early in the week, hey, I'm free Sunday morning if you guys are able to, to make it happen. And we could. And we also had Tim on, which was a nice little bonus as well. So I'm just glad to be back with you guys.
Oh, great. Loey007 on all social platforms. At
Loey007 on Twitter. You can follow me there. And I apologize to my American friends for all my rants this week. But yeah.
Dude, I don't.
Yeah.
It's understood.
But it is out of love and frustration. That it's not coming out of a place of hatred. Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I am just really happy to be back and hope I can be, it won't be another month till you hear me again.
Well, you just better make the time for when we start reviewing Batman the Brave and the Bold.
Hey, look, I like that show. Don't get me wrong.
You hate it. You're trying to get us to do it.
I don't actually, and it's actually easy to watch because it's streaming over here too, which makes it, which makes it nice and easy. But no, I have no problems with Brave and the Bold. I actually dig that show. I think that should be the next one.
Okay. And Jamie, thanks for taking your Stranger Things break to talk to us about bats.
Yeah. It was good to wrap everything up in the world of Beyond. And just in case I didn't do it on the last episode, I don't remember if I did or not, I want to give a shout out to my boy Preston Willis for being the lone voice of reason amid Hunter and his harem of hijinks over at grinning hosts.
You ain't wrong. You ain't wrong.
I'd throw up the episode. I couldn't deal with it. No, I'm sorry.
I literally messaged them like 5 times while listening, going, "Thank God for Preston."
What was this in regards to?
Hunter
they
and
do
his
a horror
insane
movie.
friends.
They do
Plus
a
Preston.
horror movie bracket tournament, and it's a blast.
Oh,
to listen
okay.
to. Even if you're screaming at the top of your lungs like I did about 35 times in the 2 episodes they've done like this so far, it's a absolute blast to listen to these people do these tournaments that put movies up against each other. And Preston went to bat for one of my favorite horror movies in recent memory, It Follows, not once but twice. So God bless him. You my boy, Blue.
Grim grinning contrarians. That's what I like to label them as.
Grim grin full of crap.
Listen. Spoilers. They laid into the Invisible Man. And
What the hell was that? What the hell was
physically
that?
fight somebody over that.
That was madness. I was like, what are you guys smoking over there?
Listen, I just rewatched that movie the other night before I watched The Hunt again, which is also amazing, by the way, and I can't believe that was omitted from the tournament. But Invisible Man is still freaking great. I don't know why.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I cryptically just posted once, and Preston's the one who was the only one to respond to it. I said Dawn of the Dead poster, the Greater Ann symbol, and then the 10 Cloverfield Lane poster. No other context, didn't tag anybody. And Preston's the only one who responds like, I see what you did there.
Listen, 10 Cloverfield Lane is a fine movie. I mean, it's really, really good, and I enjoy it, and I own it. But better than Dawn of the Dead in a horror movie bracket? All y'all crazy. All y'all. Except Preston.
All right.
Anyway, I'm on Twitter at BatRaider3960, and usually on this show on a regular basis.
And for those listening who were like, what the hell is all of that? Our pal Hunter's show, Grim Grinning Hosts, yes, they did a horror movie bracket, and they make their choices. We'll just say
Boulder
that.
Dash.
They make their choices.
Hey, I'm one who appreciates a bold, unpopular opinion, but man, these guys raise my blood pressure. But you know what? The next time they do one, I'm downloading it and I'm putting it right at the front of the list because I love listening to those. They're great. I almost wish their show did nothing but those because I enjoy them so much.
Well, they had a last minute opening because someone, our pal Philzy, couldn't join. And I was like, oh, you don't call me. You know why? They didn't want another voice of reason on these insane shows.
I was going to say, Philzy's a crazy person too, but that's beside the point.
Yeah. Anyway, if you guys are interested, go check out Grim Grinning Hosts.
After we beat them down verbally, go check them out.
No, it's all in fun. I mean, do they say things that I agree with a lot? It's suspect, but I have a great time listening to it. It's like watching a really close football game that comes down to the wire. Your blood pressure's really high, your pulse is elevated, but when it's all said and done, you're like, man, that was a good game. And that's what it's like listening to those bracket tournaments.
Okay. Anyway, I told you guys where to follow me, but thanks for joining us. Thanks for downloading the show. Please do subscribe or follow the show wherever you get your podcasts. If you're so inclined, also review us on either Apple Podcasts or Spotify. That helps us out. We appreciate that. Just a couple kind words go a long way, and we would appreciate you doing that. It's free, and it's an easy way to support us. Find Holy BatCast at holybatcast.com or find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or YouTube. Again, if you got anything for the Wayne Manor mailbox, you can send that to holybatcast@rf4rm.com. Our theme music was created by the very talented Gaurav Venkateswar. His work can be found at gvtunes.com. And again, please check out our sponsors, Manscaped. Go to manscaped.com, do a little shopping, and if you are going to buy something, don't forget to use the promo code BATSCAPED for an additional 20% off. That'll do it. On behalf of Tim, Brendan, and Jamie, I've been Andy. We'll see you next time. Same bat time, same bat channel. Holy BatCast is not affiliated with Warner Brothers or DC Entertainment. The views and opinions shared by the participants are theirs and theirs alone and do not represent the companies or organizations they happen to work for.
I've known Bruce Wayne for over 50 years, and I've been keeping an eye on you your whole life. You're not Bruce's clone. You're his son. There are similarities, mind you, but more than a few differences, too. You don't quite have his magnificent brain, for instance. You We do have his heart, though. And for all that fierce exterior, I've never met anyone who cared as deeply about his fellow man as Bruce Wayne, except maybe you. You want to have a little better life than the old man's? Take care of the people who love you. Or don't. It's your choice.
We're rolling. Who's recording in a birdhouse?
Me.
Is that you?
I got the windows. It's fucking mid-70s. I got the windows open. I'm enjoying the weather because I don't get this stuff year round like you in your tropical paradise.
Yeah, it sounds like a Snow White duet in the background.
It's really more of a 9 to 5 thing, but
That also is acceptable.